Good morning, Leslie. Can you hear me? Can you give me a thumbs up or something in the chat to make sure that I am being heard? Leslie, can you hear me? Or anyone else who's on, I want to make sure that you can hear me. Can everybody hear me okay? Wonderful. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining today. My name is Catherine Spinney, and we are here today to talk about how to lead effectively during a time of crisis, and particularly during this time of crisis. So, the majority of what we will talk about today pertains to people who are leaders and who are leading folks from a distance. Not everybody is working from home at this point, but a lot of us are working from home at this point and are managing people remotely. For some of you, that may be something that you are used to doing. For some of you, this may be something you're doing for the very first time. So I appreciate you being here. Again, my name is Catherine Spinney, and the work that I do is to support people in their leadership. People who are currently leaders, people who aspire someday to be leaders. And being a leader often includes leading through difficult times and difficult situations. And this is most certainly a difficult time and a difficult situation. So what we're going to do today is we're going to break this down into a structure that hopefully feels manageable and actionable for you to implement. And that is, we're going to talk about 3 things for you to keep doing during this time in order to effectively lead during this crisis. We're going to talk about 3 things you need to stop doing and 3 things for you to start doing. And at the end of this, we're also going to talk about some of the opportunities that this time period is affording us. It's really easy to focus on the challenges, and of course, there are so many challenges we are experiencing, and my intention is not at all to diminish those challenges that you are experiencing. It is to acknowledge them, respect them, and say, along with those challenges, where is there opportunity to be learning something during this time? Not just about how to successfully navigate a crisis, although that is powerful learning, but what you can learn and take with you as you go back to your office or your organization or wherever it is that you're working. What can you learn during this time that will help you then? So we're going to start with where I think it's the most important place to start, which is, what do you need to keep doing during this time to effectively lead your team during this crisis? And I think this is one of the most important areas to focus on for one main reason. It's very easy to become overwhelmed with all of the changes, all of the uncertainty, everything that's happening that most likely we have not experienced before. And it's important to identify what are those changes. But if we stay stuck in everything that's new and challenging and overwhelming and we never get to the other side of it, then that's where we're going to stay. And the good news about this is, as a leader, as an effective leader, So much of what you are already doing, so much of what you've done before this crisis is going to help you through this crisis. Of course, there are changes that need to be made, and we'll talk about some of those. But one thing I really hope you take away from today is that what has made you an effective leader until this point is what is going to make you an effective leader through this and after. So we're going to highlight today 3 areas where you are encouraged to continue doing what you are already doing as an effective leader. There are many more because, as we well know, being an effective leader requires so many skills. It requires a lot of character traits. It requires a certain leadership mindset. All of these things that we put into being the leaders that we are, they don't go away during this time. In fact, they shine during this time. And we're going to focus on 3 of those today. The first thing you need to keep doing to effectively lead your team during this crisis is listening. Listening to your team and listening to your clients, your customers. I'll use the word clientele because I know we have some nonprofit folks on here. I know we have some for-profit folks on here. So let's use the word clientele to refer to whoever it is that we're serving. Listening, as we know, is one of the most fundamental skills that an effective leader exhibits at all times. During this time, there's 2 main areas where we need to be listening to our teams. The first is, how are they experiencing what is going on personally? And then, how is that affecting their work? So just like before the crisis, each staff that you supervise is an individual. And each person you supervise and lead is going to respond and experience this situation differently. You're going to have people who are devastated by this, with their health, with their stress, with their money, with their emotions. You will have other people who are affected on a much smaller scale. You'll have people who all of a sudden have increased responsibilities at home, navigating how to work with little kids, big kids, parents, other family members, fur members that they're taking care of. And it's a big adjustment for folks who have never worked before to all of a sudden working from home all the time. And so how is that experience for them? And then how is it affecting the work that they are continuing to be expected to complete? And then the other area where it's really important to be listening to your staff is not just the challenges they're facing, although those are important to listen to, but what are their ideas about how to make this situation the best that it can be. They are the ones experiencing this. They are the ones who are adapting. They're the ones who are trying out new technology, myself included, and learning along the way. And we're all learning lessons that we haven't had to learn before. So as you're listening to your team about the challenges they're experiencing, also solicit their feedback, their ideas, their creativity about how to navigate this time effectively for them as individuals and for you as a team. And some of that is not going to be what might feel like directly related to the output or the outcomes or the deliverables or what it is that you're trying to accomplish during this time. A lot of people need an increased level of support. So they might come up with ideas about how to connect one another or how to do a team building activity or how to make some folks feel a little bit less isolated. It's been funny hearing different people's experiences through this, because you have people who are saying, I can't get a moment to myself. My house is chaotic. There's kids everywhere. There's pets everywhere. My spouse is driving me crazy. And then you have other people who maybe live alone or separated from loved ones for whatever reason. And their experience is, gosh, I haven't seen another human face in 3 days, or I feel lonely, or I feel isolated. I'm not used to this. So their needs and experiences and how they troubleshoot and try to overcome that will be very different. But listen to your team, as you always do, and find out both what their challenges are and how they're successfully navigating this, and what ideas they have for everybody else. The second thing it's really important for all of us to keep doing to effectively lead our teams during this crisis is to be honest and open as much as possible. So a big challenge with this crisis, which is true of all crises, is there's a lot of uncertainty to it. Initially, a lot of workplaces said we'll close for 2 weeks, and now some are saying 3 weeks, and California just did an entire shelter in place for the state. Is that coming to your state, your city? What is happening? Sometimes we just don't know. And many times when we're in a situation where we just don't know, we tend to wait to communicate with people until we have new information. And another theme we'll talk a lot about today is a balance. So when it comes to information, you don't want to overwhelm people. You don't want to be communicating with them with constant emails and texts and calls, because on the one hand, that can feel really overwhelming and unmanageable. And on the other end, you don't want people left feeling even more anxious than they already are, because they don't have an update, because they don't know what the latest information is. So work through that balance collectively as a team, but again, also individually, because you know your team and you know that some people really need a lot of extra support. They really like to be in the know. Other people, not so much, right? And so use how you know your staff already and how you share information with them. It's also an important balance during this time of uncertainty and anxiety, which is, how do I remain positive and reassuring and also honest? Your staff does not want to be placated. They don't want false promises. They don't want to hear good news that's not true. So be cautious of making promises you can't keep. And at the same time, a big part of being a leader is being able to build trust in your leadership, to help people believe in you, to inspire them, to reassure them, to let them know that you might not have all the answers right now, but that you are doing everything you can to make this the best situation you can. People respect your honesty if you don't know something. And this is a time period where most of us don't know a whole lot about what's going on. So how do you balance that messaging to say, we don't know that everyone, what's going to happen in the future, but here's our goal and here's what we're doing to hope to get there. And the third thing that you need to keep doing during this crisis to lead your team is to put them first. Always. For a long time, a lot of places employed a strategy where the customer's always right, customer always comes first. And the new wave of leadership is recognizing that staff comes first. And when staff comes first, They then take care of your clientele. They take care of who your customers are. But if you are focusing solely on your clients at the expense of your staff, more than you are focusing on your staff, it ends up hurting your clients as well in the end. So during this time, continue to put your staff first. And the caveat to that is recognizing that you as the leader also are experiencing this in your own way. And so how are you making sure that you have the support that you need in order to be able to effectively lead this group? Do you have your own leader, boss, supervisor above you that you can go to for support? Do you have a mentor, a colleague, a friend who is helping you as your focus is on helping others? So in your quest to be a servant leader, which is admirable, you need to make sure you are being a servant leader in an effective way, which means that you are also getting your own level of support. So the next thing I'm going to say is a little bit controversial, but it's something that is real and something that a lot of leaders are faced with, which is depending on the structure of your organization, a lot of staff are in situations where their hours are getting cut, their pay is getting cut, they're being let go, or in other cases, they're not technically being let go, but they're being reduced to 0 hours. And what happens with that situation is they are still technically employed, although not getting paid. And that means they're not able to collect unemployment and other services. So there's obviously a lot of financial implications to what is going on. In organizations that are structured a certain way, depending on their financial health, there are really tough conversations happening about who is getting paid and what. And in some cases, the leaders who are the highest paid are having difficult conversations about their own needs and their own financial health and where sacrifices can be made for their staffs. So organizationally, that's a really challenging conversation to have, but it's an important one to have, particularly in organizations where the boss, the CEO, the executive director is making substantially more money than the rest of their staff. Is there an opportunity to work with those numbers to make sure that everybody's being taken care of financially at this time? So those are the 3 main areas of what I suggest you continue doing to lead your staff effectively during this crisis. 1, continue to listen to them. Listen to their challenges, listen to their ideas, listen to their successes, listen to your staff during this time and always. 2, to continue to be open and honest. Share the information you're able to share. If you're not able to share something, share that too. I wish I could tell you at this time, we just don't know. But be as honest as you can possibly be with your staff while remaining positive and reassuring. And finally, to continue to put your staff first. So if you have some other ideas of things that you are continuing to do and you think might be helpful for other people to hear, please do share them in the chat. This is intended for folks to learn from one another as well. So please do share what skills, what tactics, what you are continuing to do during this time that's really helped you. Moving on to 3 things we need to stop doing to effectively lead during this crisis. And the first one is a little counterintuitive, but falls into that category of balance. And so what we need to stop doing, in a sense, I'll explain more in a minute, is focusing solely on the bottom line. What's happening right now for a lot of organizations is they are understandably concerned about the bottom line. They need money coming in order to continue to operate and continue to pay their staff. So that's really important that we're continuing to understand that we need to keep the doors open, right? At the same time, there needs to be an understanding of what our staff is experiencing and what our clients are experiencing. And we're starting to see this more and more, not yet on our own national level. If we look at other countries, yesterday, France suspended mortgage payments across the country, right? That's obviously having financial implications, but their decision was, we are in a crisis and we have to adjust in order to serve our customers and work our way out of this together. Locally, here in Baltimore, Maryland, for example, the gas and electric company is suspending late payments. Some student loan carriers have suspended the interest. So different folks are coming up with different ways to say, we're all in this challenging time. How can we continue to serve people, and how can we do that creatively in a way that keeps our doors open, keeps our staff paid, but is also recognizing that we have to come up with some really difficult decisions in how we continue to serve our clients and our staff. The second thing we need to stop doing is, again, with an explanation, is to being sticklers for the rules. So before this crisis, we all have organizational policies and procedures and the unwritten rules. And in a lot of cases, that has been in reference to who gets to work from home, how often do people get to work from home, what is our sick leave policy, what is our communication policy among staff, what is our communication policy among staff and clients, particularly to those of you in the nonprofit sector, those of you who are out serving kids. And we've had all these rules in place about how we operate. And now we're in this situation that we've never been in before. And it's imperative that we look at those rules and say, what rules do we have to maintain for legal reasons, for financial reasons, for ethical reasons? But what rules are we able to look at and say, this isn't serving us during this time? It's not serving our mission. It's not serving our staff. It's not serving our clients. So where do we need to be rule breakers in terms of shifting and adapting to all of the changes that we've been experiencing? And again, a lot of what the learning opportunity is during this crisis is that we have learned, there's been all sorts of jokes and memes going around that say, all those bosses who told us we couldn't work from home, and look at this, we figured it out, right? It doesn't mean it's ideal. It doesn't mean this is the way it should forever be. But I think it is an opportunity to say, what are the rules we're operating under, and how might we carry these back to the organization once this situation is over? What have we learned during this time about what rules are really working and serving us and our clients and our mission? And what rules are an opportunity to change the way that we're operating? And the last thing we all need to stop doing, myself included, is making excuses. And here's what I mean by that. There is a lot that is affecting everybody right now, including the staffs and the teams that we lead. And much of what is happening is out of our control. I think we've been learning a lot of lessons here about what we actually have control over and what we don't. And so when there is a situation that is negatively affecting our teams, is negatively affecting our clients, it's very easy, and it's very true in many cases, that it's not our fault. Right? It's the situation we're in, it's somebody else's decision, it's a policy that's in place. But the danger in taking that approach to say, sorry, it's not my fault, sorry, it's out of my hands, sorry, that's just the way it is, what happens is it diminishes your effectiveness as a leader. People are aware that you don't have a grasp and control over everything that's happening in the country right now, in your organization right now. They don't expect you to. But what those you lead expect you to do as a leader is to lead. And that old adage about taking more than your share of blame and less of your share of credit holds true here as well. So when you are trying to support your staff as best you can, when you're trying to support your clientele as best you can, and you're up against something, right? There's a glitch, there's a problem, there's some obstacle in your way to effectively serving them, then your response as a leader is, I'm sorry for the way this has impacted you. I'm doing everything I can to make this situation better. That's what helps people cope with the uncertainty, the challenges. People expect things to be bumpy right now, but what they don't want to hear and what doesn't help is to say, there's nothing I can do, or it wasn't my fault. Those of you who know me more on a personal level know one of my constant gripes is about customer service, right? When I call customer service and I'm having a challenge, and when the person on the other end says something like, well, that's just our policy, or, well, this has never happened before. And I always say, well, how does that help me, right? It is a selfish way, but when we're in the middle of a challenging situation, that's what we're thinking about. How does this help me, right? I am trying to keep my lights on. I'm trying to keep my rent paid. I'm trying to keep my job. I'm trying to maintain during this challenging time. So you telling me that it's not your fault doesn't help my problem, right? They talk a lot in sales in the business world that you are there to solve problems for people. That's what people need. And as a leader, you are there to help solve problems. So even though so much is out of your control, this is where leaders have an opportunity to take responsibility and say, I'm sorry this is happening. I'm going to do the best I can do to make this situation as manageable for you as possible. And again, we're going to keep on coming back to this. Listen to your staff, listen to your clients. You might not have the answer, but maybe they do. Okay, so if there is a situation you're helping them navigate through, ask them, what would help you get through this? Do you have any ideas about how to get through this? Their idea might not be realistic, it might not be possible, but it might help you get to the solution that is. So as people are coming to you with their challenges, listen for their ideas and stop making excuses. So those are the three big areas of what we need to stop doing. One is following all of our rules so closely. Two is focusing only on the bottom line. And three is making excuses for what is out of our control. So finally, our last section is what are three areas where you can start doing something to lead your staff effectively during this crisis. Some of these you may be doing, some of these maybe you aren't, some of these maybe you can amp up a little bit. But here's three things, that you can start doing to help effectively lead your team during this time. So the first one is to really start being creative. So this goes back to rules. We're going to talk about policies in a minute, but where is there an opportunity to try something new, to work on something you has been on your to-do list forever that you haven't gotten a chance to do? Where is there opportunity to say, we need to learn how to do this in a more creative way. Technology is a huge piece of this for a lot of us, myself included. So I have avoided video for a really long time, despite everybody's advice that it's really important to connect with people over video. I've avoided it. I've been hesitant. I haven't wanted to do it. And now I'm in a position where I simply have no choice, right? I can't go out and meet my clients. I can't go in person and teach my classes. I can't go and do live workshops. I can't be in person doing conferences. And so here I am on video, and I did a run of this yesterday, and it did not go as planned. And let's just say it was a learning opportunity. It was my first time doing Facebook Live. I didn't really know how it worked. Clearly, if you were on here yesterday, I apologize for all of the glitches. And I was really mortified for a while, and I let myself be mortified. And then I said, okay, so now I know better how to use it. Hopefully I'm using it correctly this time. I can see some folks who are in here, Amanda and Robbie, thanks for being here. And so now it's a little less awful than it was yesterday. It's a little less nerve-wracking. It's a little less uncomfortable. And now it's a new skill that I'm learning, right? So in the way that you work as a team, in a way that you connect with your clients, and the way that you connect with those you lead, with those who lead you, where is there opportunity for creativity? With technology, certainly, but not just with technology. So with whatever product or service you provide, how can you be creative and try things that might not work, that might be an iteration of something that works? My sister was sharing that our local pizza place back home, instead of, or maybe in addition to selling pizzas, decided to sell pizza making kits. So people could buy a pizza making kit and take it home and do that with their families. So it was an opportunity for creativity to say, we're in a new situation and the rules have changed, so our rules have to change. The way that we operate needs to change to more effectively serve our clients. So where is your opportunity to be creative with technology and without technology? Maybe part of this lesson is reverting and getting rid of some technology. Maybe there's some opportunity to go back to some of the good old ways we used to do some business with, sending things in the mail, or who knows. But where's there opportunity to be creative? And again, as we'll continue to say, where is there opportunity to listen to your team, listen to your clients about things they want to try during this time? Those of you who are service providers and you might be in a situation where you don't know what to do with your staff because they're not serving directly the clients, and you also don't want to let them go. And so how can you provide opportunities for them to keep their hours up, to keep their paychecks coming in? What ideas do they have? What creative projects and opportunities do they want to work on? The second thing that will be helpful to start working on is, this goes back to the rules, but examining your policies. A lot of policies are in place at our organizations that have long not served our staffs and have long not served our clients. So as we have an opportunity to look through the employee handbook, whatever it is that you use, where are there opportunities to look at those policies and say, should there be a crisis again, here's what we learned, here's some policies to have in place. But even outside of that crisis, once you're back to things as normal, that might be what we keep calling a new normal, where can we implement those policies that are going to continue to help people after this is over? Again, a lot of our policies are outdated, and they don't really make sense, or they don't really serve the people they are intended to serve. So there's an opportunity for you to examine those policies. And the last suggestion for things to start doing to help lead your team during this crisis is, I think for me, one of the most challenging to balance, which is to start managing expectations. So this goes back to, we all have that bottom line. We all need to be bringing in revenue. We all need to keep doing work to make sure our customers are being served and to make sure our staff's jobs are safe and they're getting paid. At the same time, we have staffs who are running up against really significant challenges in their ability to get their work done as usual. So where is the balance there? How do you support your staff while understanding that work still needs to get done? Bills still need to be paid, not just your staff's bills, your organization's bills. Grants might still need to be written. Orders might still need to get out. Whatever it is, the mission of your organization, in order, whatever it is, nonprofit, for-profit, big, small, otherwise, in order for you to keep your doors open, you need to be bringing money in some way, shape, or form. And in order to do that, you need your staff and you need your team. However, in some cases, it just might not be possible for certain members of your team, or they might need accommodations and resources that other members of your team might not need. We've mentioned technology a couple of times. Maybe they don't have the technology that's going to help them get through this time. Maybe they have to adjust their hours because their normal working hours are spent caring for other people. So how do you continue to uphold expectations in order to keep things going, and how do you respect the challenges that your staff is going through? So those are really important questions, but I think that they are necessary to ask yourself as a team. What are the expectations that are in place? With individuals, what are those expectations? What's the expectation of me as a leader, and how can I help my team manage their expectations of me? Because maybe, whatever it is that you're experiencing and whatever has been upended for you obviously affects the way you're able to lead your team. And so modeling is always a great way to help people understand how to work through challenging situations. So how are you managing your own expectations of yourself, of your staff, and what they're able to do? So those are my 3 suggestions about what to start doing during this time, which is being creative and examining your policies, and finally managing expectations. So that was 3 ideas about what you can keep doing, what you should stop doing, and what you can start doing to effectively lead your team during this crisis. I would love to close this out with a small discussion, some ideas if folks want to share in the chat. I'm not really seeing the chat yet. I'm still figuring how this all works. But in our acknowledgement of things that are hard and challenging and changing and difficult, there is, alongside all of that, great opportunity for learning and for growth here, both in how we navigate crises and how we operate outside of crises. So as we work through these challenges, our own challenges, how we're leading our teams, how we're serving our clients, all of these things we're experiencing financially, emotionally, all of the challenges that are there. What is coming out the other end that is going to help us be bigger, better, stronger on the other side? I don't say that to be cliche, even though it does sound really cliche. And it doesn't mean that everything we learn and everything we grow makes up for the challenges we're experiencing. I know that this is a really devastating time for a lot of people on a lot of different levels. So please don't misunderstand that. The message alongside that is, with all of that going on, where's the opportunity? What are we learning? How are we growing? How can we take this moment with all that we're experiencing and make it into something good? How can we serve our clients better? How can we support our staffs better? How can we grow as leaders better? Where is the opportunity to lead in a way that we've never led before? So if there is a chat going on that I'm not seeing, or people are able to share ideas, I please encourage you to do that. I'm still learning my own opportunities here. They'll continue to get better and better, but really, really take the time to think about how to use this for your benefit. And again, listen to your staff and what their experiences have been and what suggestions and ideas that they have. I thank you so much for being with me this morning. This is such an uncertain time. I thank you for being patient with me as I try to figure out how to do my part, how I'm being creative and adjusting and continuing to do my best to serve. And I will be trying lots of these. I'm going to be trying different platforms and seeing what best serves people. So I hope you got value out of this. I hope you are navigating this situation as best you can with great support. Thank you, Charlie. There you go. So I did see a chat. Thanks, Charlie. So I implore you to make sure you are also getting the support that you need in your desire to support others. It's really, really important that you are continuing to get the support that you need. I would love to do my part to help you with that support. I'm going to be trying some new things on my own. I'm always very open to suggestions about what might be helpful to you. So you can send them to me in the chat, email me, go on my social media, however you choose to connect with me, and let me know how I can continue to serve you. This works best if we're all doing it together and supporting each other. So I'm so grateful for your support. My goal is to continue to support you. So I will see you. All we need to do is use the comment feature. Thank you, Charlie. And so let's do that. Let's continue to support each other and be patient and figure out some new creative, exciting ways to do that. So thanks, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you next time.